variation, right?
Here we go with a reading from BTH,
This is
my
from
composer of and my Zen master of the philosophy of escapism. He's going to read you his synopsis. I call it a synopsis. He probably calls it theoretical poetry or something like that. This is one of his pieces. Okay, go ahead.
so what is variation? We're trying to see what variation is about, right?
What variation is about? Yeah.
So from the original, so variation is a reconsideration of the whole, right?
Yeah.
So to work through, to start an idea here and work it through until this form changes, and then you got a concept, right? You got a language out of it. That language is always moving as well, right? It's always shifting, right?
Yeah.
So maybe from the whole concept of that, the play of the unsayable. Remember Joseph Kosu's, Dr. Joseph's about the conceptual artist.
The sense that like language and our interpretations are limited.
Yes.
And this guy right here actually has got us on a theory of ethics that is really neat, and the idea that that we just don't know. We just don't know, and we're constantly going to look for it, and we're constantly going to create an ideal that we can't attain. Right? Mm-hmm. Is kind of my synopsis of what it is, and I've had these thoughts before, but this guy's kind of putting random different theories together, and creating like kind of a concise kind of overseeing ability of something here.
I like that.
Yeah. So this author and philosopher may have influenced John Cage, who basically was our beginnings to
work on that serious, right?
to work on escapism seriously. Yeah.
About silence
And the idea is the idea of it's kind of in the way that we create things together, which I think is kind of a concept of using a random and an interpretation of the environment to influence the process every time. Like the music, the wind, the temperature, the environment, the chatter, the talk,
the noise,
the philosophy, the use of color, the use of shape and form, the interaction of it itself is the escapism process. I don't think that escapism is really being defined appropriately, because escapism is more of a process than anything else. It isn't a theory. It's an automatism of a different ideal. It's not just a visual subject. It's
an unending performance, right?
It's a non-ending performance, which means that it is in practice, because because the
constant motion, everything's changing, right?
Everything's changing. Yeah, like there's so many random possibilities. Once you take two things and add three, you already have who knows how many options.
How many possibilities are there? Yes.
How many possibilities? Yeah. So if you take all of those possibilities into effect of 100 or 1,000 actions in one painting, you can never recreate that. You can never recreate it. You can never do it again, because you can't duplicate it. Like, just like a moment in a photograph is somebody frozen in time as a depiction as to who they were at that moment, but not who they are. Most people in life are known for one or two things. But what is their life's work if to be identified in one origin of thought
for instance,
for themselves? And how is that fact, And how is non-fact, or how is like the a fact and non-fact is something that this guy talks about.
One of the things
being a fact once proven, fact becomes value. And non-fact is basically a philosophy, which is a lucid thought that is constantly in question because it is not fact and it cannot be equated, right? So,
Now,
that brings it back to our theory of random.
and what I would like to add on this is that I remember that Giacometti working on a bust, the head, right?
Yeah.
And how it's shifting, it's constantly shifting. Like he work on it, he look up, it shifts, and he said that he got frustrated all the time because the world is in constant motion, right?
Yeah.
So to appreciate and understand that each work, each variation as being that would be the best.
Yeah. So here we go. Here, you can record me. I don't mind. BTH doesn't like to be recorded, but I don't mind because I've been a public figure and stuff like that here in Ottawa. So I really don't care. It's fine with me if people put me on camera and stuff.
Okay, got it.
So if a man could write a book on ethics, which really was a book on ethics, this book would, with an explosion, destroy all other books in the world. However, we can try to elucidate absolute value, meaning we can dream of this ideal of having fact.
Yes, right.
Right? Because it's an attainable dream to dream it, right? It's a dream within a dream to attain it. However, we'll get to the point of ethics, which completely throws this under a switch. Okay, so Wittgenstein's gestures towards the limits of language in three different ways. A sheer existence, the experience of being astonished before the existence of the world. So looking out on the world and just being adorned, or never understanding the origin, or just maybe we were too naive and now we're too naive of the origin.
Yes.
Right?
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah. At the subject, the experience of feeling absolutely safe no matter what happens. So the opposite of fear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Subject, in the ideal sense, like this guy's looking at it as like a term of equality and appreciation, where literally in modern times, the subject is stunned and in shock, and in non-resolve, where if we had an absolute feeling of safe no matter what happens, we would have resolve. We would not be in conflict, right? So at ethics, the experience